Hang up. Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. Intel has told us there are at least 7.
Okay, I already see one. Give them. Okay.
They're the same picture.
Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're going to continue our look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Snyder Cut Justice League with the gold label Target exclusive armor Darkseid. Starting off with packaging, and I don't care, just let me have it! Sorry, I don't know what came over me. Anyway, for packaging, I'm giving Darkseid 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and Darkseid stands at a staggering 9.5 inches. Starting off with the head, and this figure perfectly captures Darkseid's look from the film. I mean, just look at all the intricate cracks and crags of his face. And even though they're just painted, his eyes really look like they're glowing. You know I'm a sucker for metallic blue, and this armor absolutely does not disappoint. The panels also wrap down his back, and I really appreciate how the torso isn't cut up with any articulation. And speaking of things I appreciate, let's talk about this skirt. In my last video, I went on at great lengths about how Dr. Fate's skirt kept his legs from being posable, or how the skirt downright ripped. Darkseid, however, is a breath of fresh air. He can kick forward with no trouble, he can sidekick with no trouble. I will admit though that his butt flap makes me a little bit nervous in that it's only held on by this little bit. It isn't much, but there is some paint detailing in his skin. And moving down, we have more awesome armor detailing in his boots. Also, instead of the usual McFarlane wrist balls, he has a swivel hinge in his wrist. In general, it's better than what we're usually used to seeing, but this is I've seen pics and videos of customizers who went in and gave him a repaint, and if you wanted to do that, it would look great. But even if you didn't, he looks fantastic all on his own. For presentation, I'm giving Darkseid 1 whole point. Moving on to posability, and Darkseid's head's on a dumbbell joint. Great range up, all the way down, little bit of tilt, and all the way around. He's got swivel hinge shoulders, front and back with the rotator cuff, bicep swivel. Side note, I've heard a lot of people have been having a problem with this one popping off. So far, that hasn't happened to me. Moving on, he's got double jointed elbows, and as I've already discussed, he has swivel and hinge at the wrist. No ab crunch or diaphragm joint, but that's alright. He's got a dumbbell joint in the waist that more than makes up for it. Using that joint, he can arch back that far and hunch over that far, side to side, and all the way around. Hips spread out that far, which is really impressive. Watch out because they are a little bit on the floppy side. I know what it's like to lose. Turns the legs to jelly. Fair bit of twist at the hip. Single jointed knees. I know that's going to bother a lot of people, but at the very least, they can hinge 90 degrees. To help make up for it, he has boot cut rotation. Moving on down, Darkseid has toe ticulation and the typical McFarlane ball joint ankle. Despite the lack of double jointed knees, you can still get him in some pretty deep crouches, and to be honest, there really wasn't any pose I wanted to get him into that I couldn't. It's not about having the most articulation, it's about having the right articulation. Just make sure you watch out for these loose legs. For posability, I'm giving Darkseid 1 whole point. Moving on to playability, and Darkseid comes with his trident, spear, axe thing. Of course, he comes with a trading card, and if you want to read what it says, pause it right now. Omega Beam's trademark, do not steal. It also comes with this figure stand. As you can see, it's very necessary, but playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. So here he is with the other Snyder Cut figures that I've reviewed so far. I do have a Steppenwolf review on the way, but I'm still on the lookout for Batman. And just to help fill out the set, here's Wonder Woman 1984. For a more comic book version of the Justice League, here he is with some of those. One of the cool things about Darkseid is that depending on the artist, he can be depicted as either larger or smaller. So here he is with some 6-inch figures. For fans of the Supergirl reboot by Jeff Loeb and the late great Michael Turner, here's a couple of versions of her. For a DC villain comparison, we have Bizarro, Gorilla Grodd, Cheetah, Mr. Mxyzptlk, Joker, Lex Luthor, Sinestro, and Black Manta. And for the Marvel villain that Darkseid is most often compared to, here he is side by side with Thanos. For a relative scale comparison, here he is with Pizza Spidey by Marvel Legends and Spectacular Spider-Man by Marvel Select. For a comparison to the only other Darkseid figure I have, here he is with Total Justice by Kenner. That version came with this permanent lobster claw. For a master of the Darkseid, here he is with Darth Vader. And lastly, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Could he have come with more accessories? Sure. Some snap-on Omega Beams or even just a mother box would have been pretty cool, but for me, it's less about the accessories and more about the displays that I can put him in. For playability, I'm giving Darkseid 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Armor Darkseid is a Target exclusive and retails for $39.99. Finding him, of course, is about as easy easy as the anti-life equation, but if you do, he's worth every penny. For price, I'm giving Darkseid 1 whole point for a grand total of 5 out of 5. I hope you enjoyed this look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Snyder Cut Gold Label Darkseid. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, do me a favor and give it a like. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.